So, magandang araw. Ang topic natin ngayon ay cell modification and cell differentiation. So, sige, let's start. So, we have the following objectives. First, we have to explain the process of cell differentiation and how it gives rise to various types of cells in multicellular organisms such as plants and animals. Second, identify and describe the various types of tissues present in plants and animals. And lastly, cite some specialized differentiated cells found in the various tissues of plants and animals and explain their structure and relate it to their function. Alright, so let's start. Okay, so first, let's talk about cell differentiation. Alright. Okay, let's define what is cell differentiation. So this is taken from the National Cancer Institute. Right, so in this definition, so the process during which young, mature cells take on individual characteristics and reach their mature form and function. Okay, so we have a young cell, okay, an immature cell transitioning to its specialized form. Okay, just to simplify the definition. Alright? So, kailan nga ba ito nangyayari? So, remember that there is a rapid cell division after fertilization. Diba? Okay. And during fertilization, the zygote is formed. And with that, the zygote is rapidly cell dividing. Okay? And those cells, those initial cells that are the product of cell division, rapid cell division, is called stem cells. Alright? The embryonic stem cells are not yet specialized. They are undifferentiated. Therefore, they have a lot of potential to be a specific type of cell. Okay? So here, just to give you a picture. So we have here an egg and a sperm. Well, so we have an egg and a sperm here. Okay? So kapag na-penetrate the sperm, yung egg magkakaroon ng fertilization, a zygote will be formed, and a zygote will rapidly cell divide, forming a blastocyst. Okay. So the innermost cell of the blastocyst is the stem cell. Okay? Which has a unique potency because this type of stem cell is the most potent or the most strong type of stem cell. So this is called the totipotent stem cell. So bakit siya totipotent? Toti means total. Potent means strong. So in the simpler sense, totally strong stem cells. Alright, bakit siya totally strong? So your stem cell, I'm sure you are already familiar with stem cell, they are used for treatment nowadays, di ba? So magka-problem ka sa skin, you can use a stem cell to replenish your skin. Magka-problem ka sa liver, merong part sa liver mo na kailangan palitan, just simply use a stem cell and your liver will replenish. Alright? Ano pa ba? Magka-problem ka sa kidney, you can use a stem cell. So on and so forth. Because stem cells have the potential to be any type of cells. Specifically this type of stem cell, the embryonic stem cell. Okay. Now, the blastocyst will further subdivide, forming the 3 germ layer. So meron tayong tatlong germ layer. We have the gastrula, we have the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Ayan. Yung blastocyst, mag-divide siya, forming the gastrula. And the gastrula have 3 layers of germ cell. We have the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So the germ layers represent some of the first lineage specific stem cells. Okay? So, they are referred as multipotent naman. Yung makukuha natin na stem cell dito sa gastrula, these are multipotent stem cell. So, anong pinagkaiba niya sa totipotent and sa multipotent? Okay po? Yung multipotent, less strong siya compared kay totipotent because meron tayong corresponding tissue or body parts na mag-form out of the 3 germ layers. So, limited na lang. May limitations na lang yung kada germ layer. Okay po? Okay, so hence, each germ layer eventually gives rise to a certain tissue types in the body. So, the endoderm is so-called because it is the innermost of the 3 germ layers. So, endoderm is the innermost. Cells derived from the endoderm eventually form many of the internal linings of the body. So, internal linings. Okay? That is the epithelial tissue. So, later, i-discuss din natin yan. Okay, it also includes the gastrointestinal tract, the lungs, the liver, the pancreas, and other glands that open into the gastrointestinal tract. So, halimbawa, ito, kukuha tayo ng endoderm na stem cell. So, yung endoderm stem cells natin is a type of multipotent stem cell that can be used to form tissues of lungs, gastrointestinal tract, the linings of our internal organ, and some of the glands. Okay? The ectoderm, on the other hand, eventually forms the outer linings of the body, including the epidermis. So, that is the skin. So, ito naman, kapag kumuha tayo ng stem cell dito sa ectoderm, so, pwede natin gamitin to replenish our skin. Okay? So, potent na potent siya for skin replenishment. Okay, the ectoderm is also precursor to mammary glands and the central and peripheral nervous system. So, napaka-importante ng ectoderm. So, bukod sa skin, sa epidermis, and the hair, so, central and sa peripheral nervous system, importante din siya. So, how about the mesoderm? So, mesoderm is for the muscles. Okay, mag-specialize yung mesoderm natin, turning it into the muscles. Okay po. Now, ang adult ba, meron pa bang stem cell? Kasi di ba kapag adult na, yung mga cells natin sa katawan is specialized na. Okay? Ang sagot natin dyan, meron pa din tayong stem cell kahit matanda na tayo. Okay? Even if we reach the peak of our biological age, we still have stem cells. But the stem cells, the potency of the stem cell is lesser compared to the stem cell we can obtain from the gastrula and the blastula. Okay? So, tinatawag natin tong adult stem cell or somatic stem cell. Now, a somatic stem cell is only good for replenishment of some body cells or tissues. So, some example of stem cells found in adult are the stem cells located in your bone marrow. So, your bone marrow will produce the different types of blood cells. Okay? But it will never produce other types of tissue. Okay? So, limited na lang yung stem cell na makukuha sa bone marrow dun sa different types of blood cells. Okay? So, habang tumatanda, nag-decrease yung potency ng stem cell na meron tayo. Okay? So, as I've said a while ago, stem cells can be anything, especially if it's totipotent. Okay? Meron siyang kakayahan na maging kahit anong klase ng cells or tissue. Okay? Pag multipotent naman, meron na lang limitations. Depende kung saan tayo kukuha dun sa tatlong germ layer. And kapag adult stem cell, mas grabe ang limitations. Okay po? Think of it this way. Your stem cells are like you when you were in elementary. Diba? We dream of big dreams. Okay? Some of us wanted to become an astronaut, scientist, flight attendant, or business tycoon when we were in kinder or preschool. Diba? We even share our dreams with our peers. So, diba? So, nasabi natin, when I grow up, I want to be this kind of person. So, ganun din ang stem cell. So, they have a lot of potentialities that are yet to achieve when they differentiate and specialized according to their function. Okay, let's skip this slide. Ayan. So, let's talk about animal tissues. Tapos na tayo sa stem cells, animal tissues naman. So, as you can see here, we have 4 main types of animal tissues. We have epithelial tissue, muscular tissues, nervous tissue, and connective tissue. So, in here, kitang-kita naman yung example ng ating epithelial tissue ay yung ating skin. Sa muscular tissue, the name itself give the example. We have the muscles. In the nervous tissue, you have your neurons, the neural pathway. So, leading to the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Okay? Then, for connective tissues, we have the following example. We have the bone, cartilage, and blood. So, blood is considered as a connective tissue. So later on, we will discuss the following concepts. But first, we have the epithelial tissue. So here we have the following definition and description. So epithelial tissue occurs as sheets of cells which cover the outside of the body and line organs and cavities within the body. Okay? The functions includes protection, absorption, filtration, and secretion. And they form active interfaces with the environment. So, isa-isahin natin. So, dito sa first bullet, we have here that epithelial tissue cover the outside of the body. That is your skin. Okay? So, and the hair follicles cover the outside of the body. Okay? It's a misconception na kapag sinasabing epithelial tissue, that is only the skin. But no, even inside our body, there are epithelial tissue. So your epithelial tissue line organs. They cover the organs. Okay? And if they cover the organs, tingnan natin yung function, pero no-protektahan din nila yung organ na nakocoveran ng epithelial tissue. And as well as we have the cavities within the body. So later on, I will show you what are these cavities. Okay? So the functions, as I've said a while ago, includes protection. Since epithelial tissue lines the organs, it provides protection. Okay? Some epithelial tissue are also specialized in absorption. So, meron tayo ditong ciliated or merong mga villi na structure dun sa epithelium. So, ginagamit yun for absorption. We also have filtration and secretion. Especially secretion of glands. Secretion from the glands, rather. Okay. The third bullet states that it forms active interfaces with the environment. So, here we have the example, epithelium that lines the nasal passages is crucial for olfaction. So, ano nga ba to? So, di ba, we have the nasal cavity. That's one of the cavity, minor cavity that we have. So, So the nasal cavity is covered with epithelium tissue. Specifically, this epithelium tissue protects our olfactory sense or the sense of smell. Di ba kapag napakadami nating nai-inhale na alikabok, yung ating epithelial tissue na nasa nasal cavity natin mag-secrete. So meron tayong secretion, mag-secrete ng mucus to protect our nose, to protect our nasal cavity. So it will trap bacteria, dust, and other foreign particles that might get into our lungs. So, ganun, pinoprotektahan ng epithelial tissue ng katawan natin. So, one of the ways on how this type of tissue protects us. Here in this slide, this shows you the three cavities that we have in our body. So we have the cranial, we have the thoracic, and we have the abdominopelvic. So each of these cavities and epithelial tissue is present. So it encases the organs found inside these cavities. So halimbawa dito sa abdomen natin, meron dyan epithelial tissue na nagko-cover sa gut natin. Thoracic natin, sa thoracic cavity, merong lining magpoprotekta. Dito sa cranial, merong lining na nagpo-protect sa ating brain. So, ayan. So, napakadaming pinoprotektahan ni epithelial tissue. So, let's continue with the description. So, epithelial cells are closely packed and often with tight junctions. Bakit? So, di ba, for a tissue that protects our organs, kailangan they are tightly packed. Dapat minimal lang yung gaps or crevices because if the gaps and crevices between the cells is wide, there might be some foreign substance, bacteria, virus, or other particles that might get into it. So, it might penetrate the epithelium. So, dapat tightly packed yung kanyang orientation. The second description here, epithelial cells have directionality. So, they follow a specific direction. Okay, so, as suggested here in the picture, we have the apical surface. So, laging nasa taas yan. Kaya nga, the name itself, apical. Basta marinig yung apical, laging nasa taas yan. Okay? They are free, unattached surface and may have surface modifications. As I said a while ago, there are epithelial tissues that have modifications. Some are ciliated, some have microvilli. So, examples ng mga ciliated, the epithelial tissue that we have here in our respiratory tract. So, they are ciliated. If you can remember your anatomy class, di ba yung mga cilia, pinoprotektahan yung ating respiratory organ, particularly the lungs, from being exposed to dust. Okay? Even our nose. Di ba? Merong cilia na nagpuprotekta from the dust. So, yeah. Now, epithelial tissues have no blood supply of their own, so they are avascular. So they only depend on the diffusion from the capillaries in the underlying connective tissue for food and oxygen. So, avascular, tatandaan natin, epithelial tissue ay avascular. So, paano sila nakakuha ng nutrients? Simple lang, diffusion and osmosis. Okay, underneath our dermis are networks of capillaries. So, the capillaries being the smallest type of blood vessel that we have, that is where nutrients and water and other materials are diffused. And through the process of osmosis and diffusion, the cells, the uppermost cells obtain the nutrients that they need. Okay? So, if well-nourished, epithelial cells regenerate themselves easily. So, kaya 'di ba importante na well-nourished ang ating katawan. Kasi, it promotes glowing skin. Sabi nga ng mga commercial natin, 'di ba? So, mayroon. So, maintain a well-nourished body and surely your skin will glow. Now we have two naming system for the epithelial tissue. Think of this as a naming system. Okay, so the first name of epithelial tissue is the number of layers. Okay, so we have the simple epithelium. Kapag simple epithelium, simple lang naman, isa lang naman ang layer niyan. Kapag stratified naman, 2 or more layers. Okay, multi-layered. Kapag pseudo-stratified, from the word itself, pseudo, or a fake, stratified. Okay, so this type of epithelial tissue may mislead you into thinking that they are multi-layered. Well, in fact, the cells of a pseudo-stratified have different lengths and their nucleus are located are oriented in different positions. So, medyo maguguluhan ka kapag tiningnan mo sa microscope or sa 3D model yung structure ng pseudostratified tissue. So, later, we will explain it. Okay? We will substantiate it para mas malinaw. Now, the second, so ito na yung last name, kumbaga. The second describes the shape. So, for the squamous, think of it as flattened fish scale-like structures. So, ito, meron tayong squamous. They are flattened. Now, for the cuboidal, as the name suggests, they are cubes. Okay? And for columnar, they are shaped like columns. They are long. Okay? So, papakitaan ko kayo ng example para hindi kayo malito. Kung nagko-combine natin to, halimbawa, simple can be combined with squamous. So, we have simple squamous epithelium. So on and so forth. We have simple cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, stratified columnar epithelium. So ganun. Try to combine them in naming specific epithelial tissue. So sige nga, let's observe this. So ayan. So here, as you can see, we have the simple squamous. Okay, yung naglaline na epithelial tissue sa lungs natin ay simple squamous. So you can see here, isang layer lang naman siya. And fish-like scales yung structure. Flat. Okay. Now, we have simple cuboidal. So, isang layer lang naman. And, pare-para silang cubes in size. Kaya simple cuboidal. Now, ano ba yung function ng mga simple epithelium? The function of simple epithelium is for protection and filtration. As you can see here in the photomicrograph of the kidney cells, epithelial tissue of kidney. Okay? So the epithelial tissue of the kidney aids in the process of filtration. Because the kidney, the function of kidney is for filtering the blood, separating the harmful substance from the good stuff. Ayan. And in the previous slide naman, we have the simple squamous, which protects the lungs, which covers the lungs. Okay? So here we have the simple columnar. Ito naman, itong simple columnar naman na to, if we're going to relate the type of epithelial cell to the organ where it is located, we can clearly say that the function of this epithelial tissue is to aid in the absorption. Okay? So, in here, in the photomicrograph, we can found simple columnar epithelium of the small intestine. Okay po. So, they aid in the absorption. Since ang function ng small intestine is to absorb nutrients. Now, let's have pseudostratified ciliated columnar. Okay. So, pseudostratified epithelium appears to be stratified, but it is not. So, the single layer of cells in this type of tissue contain nuclei that are arranged at different levels or elevation, so making it appear to be stratified. So, all cells are in contact with the basement membrane. Okay po? So, as you can see here, we have the basement membrane and all of the cells are in contact. Okay, walang nanlalamang, walang nasa taas ng other cell. So, meron lang iba-ibang levels or elevation nung naabot ng nuclei. So, pseudostratified epithelium is found in the respiratory tract and the male reproductive system. Okay, pseudostratified epithelium in the respiratory tract is ciliated and contain finger-like projections that help to remove unwanted particles from the lungs. So, how does we remove unwanted substance from the lungs, di ba? So, yung mga cilia, they will trap dirt and other foreign particles. So, kapag babahin na tayo, kapag hatching na tayo, these particles are removed from our lungs. Okay, so kaya may benefit ang pag-ubo kasi tinatanggal niya yung mga foreign particles. Alright, so next slide. So we have the stratified squamous. So this is at the basement of, or this is located at the esophagus. Okay. We have transitional. So transitional is composed of the three different types of epithelial tissue. So meron kayong makikitang columnar, meron kayong makikitang cuboidal, and squamous. So it's a combination. So merong transitional. Okay, so we have the gametes. Alright. So for the gametes, we have here the egg and the sperm. And napaka-obvious naman ng pagkakaiba nila. Diba? So the egg is much larger than the sperm. And it has a lot of cytoplasm. So kailangan napakadami ng cytoplasm ng egg because babalikan natin yung previous lesson, the cytoplasm contains a lot of nutrients. Nutrients are dissolved in the cytosol. Okay, and if the ovum is fertilized, it will need a lot of nourishment that it can get to propel the initial phases of cell division. Okay? Now, for the human sperm, it is smaller and notable yung presence ng head and tail. So, it has a midpiece. So, as you can see here, we have a midpiece that contains a lot of mitochondria. So these mitochondria are essential because if we're going to go back to our previous discussion again, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So since it is the powerhouse of the cell, ayan, nag-generate siya ng napakadaming ATP. Kapag napaka-energetic ng isang cell, especially na merong flagella, napakagalaw niya. So kailangan mag-swim sa sperm, papunta kay egg para ma-fertilize. Okay? So hanggang dito muna. We have a separate discussion about this when we arrive at meiosis, the spermatogenesis and oogenesis topic. Okay po. Ayan. So I decided to limit the video for only about 30 minutes. So that's it. This is the first part of the recorded lecture video. So expect that you will another part of the video will be uploaded tomorrow. Okay po. But for now, hanggang dito muna. So let's limit the time for the recording hanggang 30 minutes because some of you have limited amount of attention span. Okay? So that's it for today. So tomorrow, we will continue with the connective tissue. Alright? So that ends our discussion for today.